So I'm here with Miss Susan Smith, and she's running for Alabama House of Representative District 66. And Mrs. Smith, I've noticed that you have interest in education, healthcare, jobs, and trust. Can you give us some more about that platform?
Yes, I can. Thank you for asking. Education to me is probably one of the most important things that we need as human beings and as people. And I know that Alabama ranks very low on the scale for education. I think we can do better. I know that we deserve better, and I want to see that happen. I want to see the quality education that our students not only deserve but should have happen here in Alabama. We have programs that aren't working. We have test scoring that is not working, and I think we need to take a strong look at that. I believe that education is probably the most important thing to even our community. When you have schools that are failing, you have to get in there and look at why this is happening, what's going on within the school system. When I say they deserve quality education, our students, that's putting them first. I also think that we need quality teachers. And again, that's not to say that we don't have quality teachers, because I do believe that we do. But our pay scale is so low that it's hard to entice those who go into college to go into teaching, or a teacher that's teaching to stay in that profession. Being retired from the school board and being there as a lead nurse supervisor, I saw what happened in the classroom on a daily basis. I know what the teachers have to deal with, and I just believe that we can do, a much better job at how we've done that. Since 2010, our teachers are making more money than they've ever made, and they're bringing home less money. We give them a raise, yet we increase their benefits. And I just really don't think, when I say increase their benefits, like, for instance, insurance. We increase their insurance. So are they really getting a raise? Not really. So those are things that I think we need to look at as far as, working within the education system. Now, I also believe that the first fund usually that we draw from is the education fund. We borrow money from it. I'm sure we have intentions to pay it back, but it does not always happen. I think we have to quit borrowing from the education fund. We have to find other ways of funding, whether that may be a lottery, and I'm not totally against a lottery, especially if we designate that for education and leave it in education. Our daughter went to college in Georgia from the Hope Scholarship, which was funded by a lottery. But I just know that we have programs that are not performing, so we need to look at those programs. If they're not performing, let's do away with them. Let's don't continue to have those programs. You mentioned jobs. Let me talk about jobs before I get into the health care, because jobs and education go hand in hand. I think we need more dual enrollment programs that will go into our schools, that will train skilled workers. Not everybody is going to college. I mean, that's just a known fact. Many kids decide they don't want to go on to college. Yet when they leave, if they're not trained in some type of skill, they're going to go and work somewhere for a very low to minimum wage, and they cannot support a family, much less support themselves, and have a transportation. And of course I can go on and on and on, but I'm talking to smart people who understand what I'm saying. But I think if we have those dual enrollment programs to teach them plumbing or welding or carpentry or landscaping, whatever they may need or want, then I think, and I know from experience and from looking into this, some of these people make $80,000 a year. Now, I could live on $80,000 a year, and I think most people could. So I know when being on the city council here in Atmore, when we look into businesses coming in or companies coming in, the very first thing they ask is, what kind of workforce ready people do you have? Why? Because it saves them time and money. If they come in and they have workforce ready people that are trained, they don't have to train them. It's not going to cost them anything. They're ready to get up and go right away. So this would solve a lot of getting businesses and companies into Alabama and into our area, especially Escambia County and then the eastern part of Baldwin County. So that's why I say that jobs and education kind of go hand in hand, and we need to look into that. The other things are health care. Health care is extremely important to me. I'm a registered nurse and have been a registered nurse for, 30-something years. Had been prior and then went back and activated my license. So I've worked in the school system, I've worked in the veterans home, I've worked with mental health. So I've kind of got a rounded study with what's going on in the mental health care as well as everyday hospital care, and I know that that's very important. We've got 300,000 Alabamians who are uninsured. That's children and adults. This shouldn't happen. This should never happen. I'm for expanding the Medicaid expansion. I'm for making sure that we get that. We've got close to $2 million just sitting on the table. Because we did not expand that, that was Governor Bentley, we're having hospitals closed, rural hospitals closed. Rural hospitals are some of the most important hospitals there are. Now, having a hospital closed is very, very detrimental to a community. But let me tell you the bottom line, and it sounds like I'm doom and gloom, and I'm not, but I think people really need to know what really is going to happen. We're going to lose lives. Somebody's going to die. It's just that simple. So by expanding Medicaid and saving these rural hospitals, then lives will be saved. People, and especially elderly people, who have a hard time getting to hospitals that are an hour or 2 hours away, it's going to save lives. Now, the very last thing we talked about was trust and accountability. I am a type of person that I believe when you take an oath of office, which I have taken, and you place your hand on the Bible, the words that you say are, I swear before God to uphold the Constitution of the United States, Constitution of Alabama, to abide by the laws written for the cities, counties, whatever. Now, some of the laws I really don't like. However, by taking that oath, I have sworn that I will uphold them. So, with that said, there again is accountability. Being accountable for doing what you say you're going to do. And what that says is that I'm going to represent all the people. Not just Democrats, not just Republicans, but everybody, regardless of who they are. because that's why I'm being elected. Not that you voted for me, not that you didn't vote for me, but because I am obligated by law and by God to uphold that and to represent those people. And I believe that when we send people to Montgomery, then we should and must be their voice, regardless. And regardless of what it takes to make our district better, our counties better, our state better, if it takes walking across the aisle and voting with another party, then I think that's the thing we have to do, because we are their voice and we have to do what's better. We can't continue just to vote party because it's party. We got to vote people, and that's a fact. And being accountable means being accountable for right here in Alabama. I can't do anything about what's going on. I can't do anything about what's going on in Washington. Can't do anything about Trump or Clinton or Obama or Bush. But I know that I can do something for Alabama and what's going on here. And I know our Alabamians deserve better. We're much better than what we rank. And I want to see us do better.
I don't know what just happened.
Now, do you want some water?
No way. I don't know. I just got strangled. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. Maybe it's this house, because see, that's why we don't have the air down a lot. My husband will get coughing and
Really?
yeah, he'll cough up a lung.
Oh my goodness. I don't know.
I go and slap him a couple times and he does all right.
It must be something in the air.
Yeah.
Okay. So I enjoyed hearing everything that you said, and I agree with everything that you stated. As a former teacher, it is hard for teachers to be able to do the things they need to do in the classroom because of healthcare, and because a lot of our students come to the classroom and they're undernourished, they're mentally deprived, and they have a lot of health issues. So what can we do as far as educators to help get this improved? Is there a way that educators can help seek out or help advocate for healthcare?
Absolutely. Now, are you speaking of the health care for the children or for the teachers?
For the children.
For the children. Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And I'm almost sure this program is still in existence, but it's called All Kids. And All Kids is a great program. If a kid does not have insurance, or the family doesn't have insurance, then you pay according to what you're able to pay. I think the lowest is like $50. That gets you in there, and then you're covered. You're covered while that child's at school. That child is covered, and I think that is a marvelous program. Now, teachers having to deal with this, yes, they do. They have to deal with it, and I'm proud to say in Escambia County, and I do believe in most of Baldwin County, and I'm going to speak about the counties that I will represent. We have nurses that actually take care of students who have chronic or even acute problems. So that's a good thing, and a lot of the teachers don't have to take care of those situations. But what they do have to take care of is when you talk about kids that have maybe a mental condition or ADHD or something similar to that. We did away with a lot of the teaching aids or teachers' aids, and that was a good program. And let me speak to that a little bit. The reason I think that's a good program is because, let's just say I'm a teacher and I'm in a classroom and I have 25 students. And that is our average classroom now, 25 to 30 students. and let's just say I have one child that maybe needs managing more than anybody else, okay? And I'm in there by myself and I'm teaching, and this child has an episode. Then I must stop and take care of this child. So what's happening to the other 24 children or 29 children? Well, they're not getting instructions either. So it's a lose-lose when it could be a win-win situation here. And a lot of it's because we don't have funding. But we've got to go back and look at ways to go back, improve these programs, and fund the programs that really do make a difference, not only to our schools, not only to our teachers, but the main thing is to our students. Our students deserve this.
That's true. Excuse me. That's true. What you said was dead on point. That a lot of educators. What you said was dead on point. A lot of educators have to deal with that situation on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. I've seen teachers to have to deal with up to 5 or 6 children with IEPs, mm-hmm. and have to control the classroom, but they're being penalized for dealing with these situations. So I think that is a good program that needs to be placed back in to the system. Let's look at what you were talking about as far as the jobs.
Okay.
You were saying getting the kids prepared through programs such as welding or plumbing. How can we get more of that? Because some schools do have that program, mm-hmm. but I think they're not linked in with the jobs that are in the area, so the students could get the certifications. Mm-hmm. How can we get that taken care of?
Let me say this about Escambia County and our school system. We are doing such a much better job than we have in the past. And I'm proud to say that. So I think what we have to do is look at being able to join forces with our community colleges so that these kids in the dual enrollment programs, when they graduate from school, they're ready to go to work. And I believe that during school, these students that know they have no desire to go on to a college should be contacted and then developed into these dual enrollment programs. What I see as part of the problem is we wait until a student gets in the 8th grade to start grooming them for what they want to become. That is way, way too late. We've got to start back into middle school, and we got to start talking to them about, what do you want to do? What do you want to be prepared for? You know, we want you to go to college, and we want to encourage them to go to college. But let's face it, everybody's not going. Everybody doesn't have the money to go. We don't provide enough scholarships, so the majority probably will not end up going to college. So we have to work very, very hard, and I believe our chancellor is open, our state chancellor is open to doing that. I think our community colleges would be open to doing that. We need to hold each other accountable for making sure that our students are aware of what's available out there, and our parents. Our parents need to know that too. What's available, what we can do to get these programs up and running. And again, I'm going to say, we have several programs available now as far as dual enrollment, but I don't think everybody's taking advantage of it. So start early so that we'll know what we need and then be able to provide that to them. My mother and dad, my grandparents, and my family coat of arms up here, and of course my dad, and this is the love of my life. This is my husband. So, and that's a picture of him over there too, that you see. This was my grandmother's cabinet.
Okay. So family is definitely important.
The table here that you see has been in my family for about 300 years.
Wow.
And down here, these volumes down here are history of my family, that you see. And inside is a Bible that, I'll see if I can get it out a little bit. This is a family Bible that goes back into the early 1700s of my family.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we added in Miss Kiana White, which is the campaign manager for Miss Susan Smith. And Miss Kiana White is an educator. And we want you to kind of expound on your thoughts of education, especially pre-K and Head Start.
Well, right now at our school, Rachel Patterson in Atmore, Alabama, Rachel Patterson Elementary, we have two pre-K classes at our school. Our school was one of the pilot schools for the pre-K program. We actually had quite a few politicians to come to our school to observe. We had one of our senators, Bradley Byrne, came to our school. He did a walkthrough. He was very impressed with the program that we have. And I think that the program is very successful. It's really helping our community and the students and the parents. They learn through play, which is very interesting, but much needed for that age group. Most of the kids who have started out in the pre-K program, who are now in kindergarten, they are so advanced, so far ahead of the game, and we're just very proud and very excited about where this is going. And we hope to be able to expand our pre-K program here in Atmore and throughout the state of Alabama, because it is needed, and I do believe that it is an effective program and an effective approach to education, starting early with the babies and creating that really good, strong foundation for the students.
It also provides them with structure, and I think all kids need that structure. That a lot of times they'll go into the class and they really have never had to learn to sit for any length of time or maintain their focus on stuff. So I think those programs in that aspect are very beneficial to that.
And it also teaches them socialization. Some of the students are coming from homes where they're the only child there and they have older parents, and this teaches them how to socialize with other children, how to play, how to get along, how to collaborate and cooperate. And so all of those 21st century skills that they really need to be able to possess in this 21st century type of society, where they need to be able to communicate with each other, play with each other, collaborate with each other. And so through the play, they're learning through play. You can see them working together, creating associates and creating teams, and it's just a natural thing that just evolves. And so I'm really excited to see how that continues on later on in their educational process.
Yes, I enjoyed what you said, especially about building teams, because they do need to understand how to work with other people and how to be strategic with fixing problems. And I think that's a problem that a lot of the older kids have, older students have, that they haven't learned how to be strategic and how to use strategy in in fixing problems. So I think that's a good program.
Yeah, and also I think that's the direction. Just like I was talking about the 21st century type of community, we have to be able to do our own thing, but we have to understand that collaboration and teamwork is going to be key, especially in a globalized type, society where everything's competitive, and not just locally but globally. So you have to be able to work with other people. And so I'm very excited about that as well, how they're learning through play, they're learning through groups, they're learning by figuring out who they can get on their team to do certain things, and they know other people who could be on their team for a different type of solution for a different problem. So it's very organic. That's all I can say. That's the word I can use. It's very organic. You just see how they kind of cling to each other. And I'm very excited about that, because I think the older kids are not used to that collaboration or that cooperation. They're not used to the strategy of teamwork, because teamwork makes the dream work. That's what we say at my school, and it's true. Teamwork, it really does make the dream work, but you have to, it's a paradigm shift. And if you don't have that belief system, it's not going to work for you. But just like I said, with the pre-K program, because they're starting so young, it's not going to be a paradigm shift. That's just going to be their belief system, that they work together. And there's not that competition going on. It's that we get in where we fit in and we make it happen. And so that's what I'm really excited about, the learn through play. It, just like I said, it's very organic.
and it's advantageous. I mean, it definitely is. I think that when she mentioned the jump start that they actually get by going through this program in the pre-K, by the time they're actually in first grade, they're up and running. I mean, they are so far ahead of the goals that you really have expected those in the past to be. It's just amazing, and that's what we need. That's what we need to continue into our education system. Like you had asked me earlier, we've got to provide these kids with every opportunity that we can provide them with, and we need to leave these programs alone that have a proven record, that shows progress, that shows they work, and let's keep these programs in place and work to get rid of those programs that don't work. And I think by doing that, we're going to improve our education system. I truly believe that, and I think Kiana does too.
Yeah, especially the pre-K program. I'm very impressed with the program. Very impressed with the play, the learn through play approach. And just like I said, it's very organic. You just sit back and you watch the children and you watch them create those solutions together. And it's very exciting. And I do believe that it's going to change our educational system.
Now, we talked about the Head Start, and if you would just give them a little bit of your view on the Head Start programs and how you feel about those.
I think all of those programs are needed. The younger that we have the children in our educational system, the better, I think, because they just they take to whatever. They're so eager to learn, and you can just tell it's just a very natural thing. They just want to learn. They're interested in everything.
They're like sponges.
Yes.
They're really like sponges. They're just soaking and absorbing all this, and it's, I mean, just to watch that, people that haven't been in a classroom or been at a school, I want to encourage them to go to somewhere like Rachel Patterson and just watch what happens with these kids. They're just, it's like a whole new world is opening up,
And these children, they're exposed to so much technology at such an early age. Even the pre-K kids, they're very familiar with iPads, computers, clicking on a mouse. So we have to approach them differently because they're kind of more advanced than
we are. To say it, we are
than we were when we went to school.
I mean, it's funny that she said that because it just brought to mind. I was having an issue, and my younger grandson said, I can't believe that. Let me show you what to do. And I'm like, what? But we also have Hippie. Now, Hippie is a program that not only works with our babies on up, but it also works with our families, our parents, and so we're giving them everything that we can give them to give them that start that they need.
Yeah, and we just need for more people to participate.
Yes.
Because the Hippie program, they're also officed in our building. So we have a Hippie program in our building. We have pre-K in our building. We have access to Head Start in our building because it's elementary. It's pre-K through 3rd grade. So it's kind of the whole elementary aspect in one place. And I really like that approach as well. Hippie's there, pre-K, Head Start. So any family who wants to have a head start, with their kids, they can just come to the local elementary school, find out where all of these programs are how they work, where they can get access to them. I think Hippie will even go to your house.
That's right.
It's very community oriented. And our young families, I remember, I'm a young person, but when I was a very, very young mother, a long time ago, I needed help as well as a young mother. And of course, your grandparents and your parents will, can help. But I also needed help from those teachers, those seasoned teachers who could help me with my children and show me what I could do at home, to teach my children and to further the education at home. So I like these personally as a mother. I really appreciate these programs that are available for those young families, for those young mothers and fathers who are just getting started. They're so excited, about their little kids, and we're here for them. And it's very good that the state of Alabama thinks that way, and they're so ahead of the game, and they're thinking about community first, and that's what it's all about.
So see, there are positive aspects to that too. Now, let me ask you this. Let's just say, take for instance, okay, I'm a young mother and I have a child. Would I need to make an appointment to come and just see what you have to offer, or do I just show up?
You can just show up. You
That's
can
great.
just show up, and we have access, information. We can guide you in the right direction, and that's any local elementary school throughout the state of Alabama.
So those are the kind of programs that I want to see continue and develop into the stronger programs, into our dual enrollments that would help our students as they progress in their schooling. So those are the type programs that I'm very interested in.
Wow, I enjoy hearing about those programs, and I think that even from the pre-K to the Head Start, I think businesses that want to come in would want to hear about those type of skills that the kids are learning.
Absolutely.
Because those are important skills to major jobs,
Yeah.
So I think that would be a way of advocating for these jobs that you were talking
Absolutely.
about.
Well, it's people who have not visited a school or been in a school setting in years, or even in 6 months, I think they're doing a big injustice to themselves as well as the community if they don't go in and see what's offered, because there's so much negative stuff out there, and we do have positive stuff. Yes, there's room for improvement, but look at what we've got and what we have to offer. And we really need to have the community buy into what is going on in the school, rather than just going out there and putting out stuff that maybe there is something to it, but not completely truthful. Don't you think? I mean, don't you think we hear a lot of stuff?
Yeah, we hear a lot of negative stuff, and I've been in the school system for nearly 20 years. I've taught, right now I'm teaching in the elementary level, at the elementary level, but I've taught all the way to junior college. I've taught 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, literature, and all the way into a 2-year college system. And what we need more of, that I think, is more community involvement. More community showing up at the board meetings, calling the board members, letting them know what they want. Dual enrollment is wonderful. But there's a difference between our county, per se, and let's say Mobile County. At one time I was taking computer programming classes, and there were 19-year-olds who had already gotten some type of a dual enrollment certification, and they were making $25 an hour at 19 years old, computer programming that they learned through their technical school program at their school. Career tech, the vocational schools. And so they graduated with some type of certification. So I think that those types of skills, that's something that we need to offer our students. And I think that the community should speak up more and express what they want, what they expect from vocational education.
I think they should hold them accountable. I think the community needs to hold not only hold the elected officials accountable, and I'm talking about school boards, on from there to the city, to legislatures, to anyone who is involved in making those decisions should be held accountable and say, this is what I want, and this is what I want to happen. And they're not doing that. I don't see them doing that. And if these elected officials aren't doing what they've been elected to do, then we need to get people who are willing to do that. And she's so on point. We find people who want to say, well, this isn't getting done and that's getting done, and you really want to say, okay, then what are you doing about it? Or when is the last time you've been to a board meeting? Or when's the last time you talked to your board member? Some people don't even know who their board member is, but yet you've got to learn all these things. You've got to be knowledgeable about them. I want to go back and say something about something Kiana said. One of my dear friends in Thomasville, he's all the time calling and telling things that are going on up there in Thomasville. They have this very program that we're talking about, and we do have some of it here. But he had a student to graduate 4 years ago in welding, had a job the minute he graduated. His first year alone, he made $86,000 first year in welding. And then along comes another company who hired him. His second year, he made $120,000. Now we're not talking about a 30-year-old. We're talking about a 19-year-old person making that kind of money. And that's what we need. Imagine what could happen having those kind of programs here. When companies look at you, the first thing, again, I'm going to say the first thing they say is, what type of workforce ready people do you have? And when you don't have any, they're not going to locate here.
Yeah. And some of the students, because we don't offer that gleam of hope of I can get this certification while I'm in high school and then get a job after high school that's not fast food or hotel or something that's
a restaurant.
Something that's just a minimum wage type job, but they're trained and they're skilled. And so in the community, they talk about it a lot, that they want these things, but they're going to have to step up to the plate as well and express that.
To these board members and to these elected officials.
And then we can work together to create the type of school system and the type of programs that we're offering students. Because some students, they just drop out because it's like, I'm going to get this diploma if I do get it. Yeah. And then what am I going to do? Work at McDonald's? So they need more options.
And McDonald's is okay, don't get me wrong.
True.
But
money is money.
But the standard of living cannot be supported by those type of jobs. I mean, they just can't. And I was telling her, and if you would expound on this a little bit, as you can see, we kind of work back and forth. We don't need to wait until they're in the 8th grade to start developing these students into what they want to do, what they want to become. This should start way back in middle school, don't you? Don't you think so?
I think 5th, 6th grade is
yeah,
a good time to start exploring. By 9th grade, it's time to start really narrowing it down and focusing, razor sharp focused on those particular pathways. I don't think we should start in 9th grade.
No.
It should start earlier than that. 9th grade, you should have some direction, some goal that you're trying to achieve with your high school diploma. Right now, what does it really mean to have a high school diploma for some people?
Yeah. I mean, that to me is the big fix. We have to work around the needs of our students rather than the needs of us. I really truly believe that.
I agree with so many things that you ladies were saying, especially the students not really knowing what's out there. I think if they would know the different type of jobs they could possibly achieve or reach for, because I had a student to say to me, Miss Peterson, why are you always advocating education when there are other jobs, like you stated, the $80,000 job, the $100,000 job? And I said to them, well, if you pay attention, I talk to you more than just get your education, but also get another foundation. And I think if we would start teaching our children, because like you said, a lot of children are not going to go to college. A lot of children are not capable of going to college. But if they're able to get their trade, they're able to provide for their families. Now, I want to go back to something that you said about accountability. Okay. I think a lot of times we hold our politicians accountable to make them be accountable, but we're not holding our voters to be accountable, because they're not trying to find out the real issues. They're not, like you said, they're not going to the meetings. They're not checking behind the politicians. What can we do to encourage our constituents to be more accountable for themselves?
We're working on that, believe it or not, right now as I speak. I think we have to give them a reason to want to go vote. I mean, I think that's the bottom line. When they feel like they're, nothing's going to change, they're not going to get out there and vote. But when they feel like there's hope and there will be a change, I see a shift. I really do see a shift. I had somebody to ask me the other day, well, what do you think about this going on? What do you think about that going on? Well, I didn't vote for him. Well, guess what? You might have been the person that could have made the difference, and this would not be going on. So I kind of feel like if you don't have the vote, if you don't go and vote, then I don't know if you really have the right to sit there and complain about what's going on. And so yes, the voter is accountable too. Don't tell me that you don't like what's going on when you didn't go and try to make a difference. I think that's kind of the bottom line.
I think it's the culture. We have a culture that's a bit complacent. And their, history teaches us you can't afford to be complacent. And you cannot afford not to watch. Even the Bible says, Jesus said to watch and pray. You've got to watch. And people aren't watching. They're not aware.
I think it's they're too busy focusing on their own wants rather than their needs. We're caught up in a me. And, what's in it for me? And if there's nothing in it for me, then guess what? I'm not interested in it. I just really feel, I see that. And
there's no benefit to the collective when you have that type of mindset.
Exactly.
And just like I said, in history, I'm a history buff. I'm a literature professor. So, we have to teach certain novels in school for a reason. George Orwell, all of the novels, 1985, Animal Farm, all of those things were warnings as to why you have to, as they say, stay woke. Okay? You stay woke. Woke vote. That's what this is all about.
And
if you show up,
consequences. You know, whatever choice you make, regardless of what it is, any choice in life that you make
there's a
has a consequence. Now, it can be a good consequence or it can be a bad consequence. And a lot of times when you get that way and you just feel like, well, you know, complacent, it's really not going to matter. The consequence may not be good for you. So I think she's dead on point when she talks about that. I see it. I see it on a daily basis. I see it in our local community. I see it in our state. And I also see it in our nation. And it's sad. And I think we're just going to have a jolt of some kind in order to bring us back to what needs to happen in order for a change to take place. Because nothing good is going to happen until we do have a change of our mindset.
Well, I think we are creating that change.
I think that jolt has already happened.
Yeah, with the Head Start system, you were talking about the kids and how they're working together. I think that is going to be the jolt. That generation of children is going to definitely force America.
Well, I think the millennials. I birthed a millennial, and I teach many millennials. I taught millennials, and I think this is a new generation now that I'm teaching. But that millennial generation, people say that they're spoiled, but I know that they're very smart.
Oh, absolutely.
And they are highly conscious.
Yes.
That's a woke generation.
Well, they listen more than we give them credit for.
And they know more than what we give them credit for.
And I think they're almost a silent generation. And when I say a silent generation, I think they listen more than they talk. And I really do. I think they listen more than they talk. And we take listening, our generation, well, I'm older than you, but our generation, not a lot, our generation takes not talking as not knowing. And that is far from true. Because I've had to deal with a lot of millennials going through the school system. And I noticed they're not real vocal. But listen, they're listening. They are retaining a lot of it. And then when you get out in public and you happen to run into one of them and you see something they've done, I don't know why we're so shocked. We shouldn't be, because they really are smart.
They're very smart, and from my experience with millennials, with this particular population, which is one of the largest population demographic in our particular population right now, I think that they're the ones who are going to start this change because they're very vocal. They have very strong opinions, even though I may not agree with them, but they have very strong opinions, and it has taught me to understand that I can't always have things my way. I have to be open and allow others, live and let live. I say that a lot in my house. Okay, well, live and let live. Even though I may not like something, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. It just means that I personally do not like it.
And the difference between that is our parents didn't do the live and let live. It was their way or no way. Majority of the time, really.
But the millennials are, just like I said, they're very, they're strong-willed.
Yeah.
They know what they want. They know what they don't want. They are very outspoken. They're creative. They're smart. So my hope is in that generation. And it's time for them to step up on the scene anyway, to make their voices heard.
I think all of our hope needs to be in that generation, because they're the ones that are going to take care of us. And we've talked about this time and time again. Anything that happens in this election in 2006 really will not affect us. It really won't. It's not going to have any big effect or purpose to us.
Say that again, because you said in 2006.
Well, I think she was talking about November 6th.
November 6th. I'm sorry. Yeah, November 6th.
Yeah, but she said 2006.
I said 2006. Okay, so we'll back up.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything that happens to this election, the outcome at November the 6th, which is a very critical election, really won't have any big influence on us. But it will on the millennials and those who follow behind us. And I think that's why, talking about biblical stuff, when it says those that come behind us must find us faithful.
Mm-hmm.
So we are responsible in this election for what's going to happen to our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren. And I think we really need to take thought of that and get out and go and vote and make a difference. And know the person that you're voting for. Don't just go out there and vote for somebody because they're this party or they're that party, but know something about them. Know what their record says. Know what their plans are. Know what their platform is.
I want to go back to elders, because growing up in the community and in church, I was surrounded by female elders. And I think we've gotten away from that. And Miss Susan, I'm amazed at the stories and how you are and the things that you say. And I think we've gotten away from reaching to our elders for the connection, for the knowledge, for the strength. And as a woman, it's hard to do things in this world, but you've knocked down a lot of doors. Can you tell us what kept you going and the things that you were able to do? Because there are young ladies who are struggling.
Well, first of all, you got to care about people. I mean, that's the bottom line. You got to care about their feelings and the struggles they've gone through. Because I don't know what struggles she's gone through. I mean, I haven't gone through the same struggles, nor has she gone through the same struggles with me. But I think when we actually care about each other and we're able to listen to the struggles she's been through and what she had to overcome, then I believe we grow. We grow not only as friends and a community, but it kind of goes back to what she said too. We got to be willing to help each other. You know, I can't turn my back on her, nor can she turn her back on me. We've got to understand. We've got to be willing to help each other. And I think we've gotten away from a lot. In fact, I know we've gotten away from a lot of that. It goes back to what I said earlier about the meism. We're so caught up in our own little world and trying to get our own little stuff and make our own little way that we have forgotten about our neighbor. And you know, I mean, that's really biblical, to love your neighbor as yourself, and who is your neighbor, and helping each other. We don't do that anymore. I mean, some of us don't even know who our neighbor is. And some of us, you know, I remember when I was growing up, let me say where I come from. When I was growing up, and I was raised by a black woman, and my parents were gone a lot of times, and she got us up, she dressed us, she got us ready for church. She took us to church, to her church, and we stayed there from about 8 o'clock till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, all right? And then when we finished and we came home, then we visited. We didn't just come home and stay. We visited. We went to see this one, we went to see that one, and they weren't necessarily...
Sunday dinner.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't necessarily black, and they weren't necessarily white. I mean, you went and you checked on Aunt Susie and Uncle Tommy, and to see if they needed anything. So that's how I was raised. I was raised, you help people.
Felt the pain of betrayal. Wilhelm Music Agency presents Delindra Tarsavina with her freshman album, Life Is Not Gone, along with her book, Diary of a Hurt and Confused Wife with co-writer Keasia Cheney, steeping with personal life stories, biblical references, devotionals, and prayers. This book is a powerful tool in the home of any woman who has been through a rough marriage. These projects are available now online.
Pictures of Atmore and our daughter from Australia. Here's the one with Australia in it. And these are some of the accomplishments that I have had. And then this is my life, my husband's life, my children's life, my parents' life, all up on this wall, and grandparents, and my great-grandparents. I don't know if you can see it here, but I have all that. And then my grandmother, you can just go on through here and see, and of course my mother and daddy's wedding, and it just goes on and on and on all the way up. So I enjoy looking at that as I go up to retire at night, because it just brings back so many memories of how things were. And to me, pictures tell a story. This is my home place. This was where I was born and raised. It had this house up here. It's my mother, my daddy, my brother, and myself. And they eventually tore it down and built a more modern house. But some of the older structures that were on the place remained. Like the hay barn, the old light plank house. This is where they got all their electricity and stuff from. And then this was a tree that had been planted by my great-great-grandfather, and eventually it died. And so rather than cut it completely down, they left the post there just as a reminder. Just thought that was kind of
Been called a post road.
And so they called it Post Road. So
This year.
so my parents, and my mother, my dad, and my brother and myself. Yes. So long history. And this of course is not very good pictures, but I still wanted to put them up here. This is of my dad and his siblings. The one sister has since passed. That was over here. You can't really see it, but these were two of his sisters. He had 3 sisters, and he had 2 brothers. November the 6th, you've got a golden opportunity. It's in your hands. It's up to you. It's not up to me. I'm going to do my part. I'm going to vote. She's going to do her part, and she's going to vote. But are you going to vote? Are you going to make a difference? And are you going to be able to leave and say, I did my part?
I think one thing that we should discuss that I talked with Boyd and Maddox is that a lot of people don't realize they can vote again. A lot of people have done crimes and different things, and they feel like they can't vote anymore. They've been unregistered to vote. Can you tell them where in your county, in your area, can they go to get this information so that November the 6th, because I think the deadline is October the 22nd to get everything taken care of to vote for November the 6th. Where can they go?
Today is the last day to register.
Okay.
Today is the last day to register. So by the time they get this, it'll be too late.
Okay.
However, they need to know this for the next election. If you are a felon and you have done your repentance or your time and you're through with that, and by a felon I'm talking about somebody that's had a DUI, somebody that's had a drug charge, the things that are exempt from it are people that have killed people, domestic violence, that particular type thing, you cannot. But if you're a felon and you've made your restitution, you are eligible to vote. and you can vote. And all you have to do is go to the Board of Registrars and tell them that you're there to register to vote, and then they'll call the parole board and find out if you have made restitution, and if you have, you just get registered right there. Now, the other way to do it, you can go online and register, or you can go online and see if you can vote. Vote for Alabama, and then you can go in there, and it's Alabama Secretary of State, and then you can key in anything. It tells you what you must do. It's electronic voters registration application. You can key it all in. You can do it right there online, and you can even find out if you're eligible. If you need a voter's ID, and you have to have a voter's ID or have two people who will verify that you are who you are. But if you need a voter's ID, you don't have to pay for one. You can go to the registrar, and they will take your photo and get you, whatever county you're in, go to the registrar's office. They'll take that picture, and you'll have that. So you've got many, many ways to do it. You can contact me. You can contact Kiana. We can get you those forms. I got forms in here. But the main thing is, if you're already registered to vote and you can't make it to the polls, you need to let somebody know, because we've got plenty of absentee ballots. Your vote will count just like our vote will count. So make sure that you do that for sure. If you know that you're going out of town, you've got until October 29th to cast your vote, even your absentee vote. So make sure that you do that.
Thank you so much for that, because a lot of people don't realize the deadline dates and different things. In different counties and different areas of Alabama have different deadlines. I know Marengo County is October 22nd, but yours is today.
Yes.
So I wish we were able to let people know, go out to the streets like on the Sprint commercial, and have the robot just yell out, hey, registration day, get it done today. But we're not able to do that. But what would you like voters to know about you before they go to the polls, and your motto that you live by?
The motto that I live by is simply this: I want the very same things that you want, regardless of who you are, regardless of what race, what religion, even what party. I want the very same things. I want quality education. I want affordable health care. I want good paying jobs. I want people to know that I will be accountable to them, that I'll represent them, regardless of who they are. When I win, Alabama wins. When I win, we all win. And I'll represent them. I'll work very hard to help Alabama reach its highest potential, to make sure that they know who I am. I'll do town hall meetings where you can come in and talk about your issues. I'll give you my cell phone. You can call me personally. But we're all in this together, regardless of who we are. Again, it's strictly about Alabama. November the 6th is about Kiana, her children, her family. It's about me, my children, and my family. And it's about you and your family, whoever you are. So I want you to go to the polls on November the 6th. I want you to vote Susan Smith for House of Representatives, District 66.